Medusa is undoubtedly one of the most iconic figures in Greek mythology, primarily known for her appearance rather than her story or character. When people with little knowledge of mythology are asked about Medusa, they often associate her with the image of a woman with snake-like hair who can turn people to stone. However, the popular video on this channel, which tells the story of Medusa as narrated by the Roman poet Ovid, falls short of presenting the complete story and may give the wrong impression to those who don't delve deeper. In this video, we aim to combine all the information we've discussed about Medusa in the past into one coherent narrative, exploring the various facets of Greek mythology's most iconic monster. Before we delve into the details, it's important to forget everything you think you know about Medusa. Initially, the Gorgon, a creature resembling Medusa, appeared in Greek mythology as early as 6000 BC. These early representations were associated with the Erinyes or Furies, who punished men for their heinous crimes. The Erinyes were depicted as ugly, winged women with poisonous snakes entwined around their bodies and hair. The first Gorgon, known as the Elder Gorgon, was similar in appearance to these bearded women with snake hair. The Elder Gorgon was sometimes equated with another figure named Gorgo, the daughter of the Titan Helios. The depictions of Gorgo, with beards, tusks, and curly hair, may have led to the transition of their hair into snakes. Gorgo was eventually killed by Zeus during the Titanomachy. At this point, the Gorgons did not have a distinct identity, and Medusa was not mentioned by name. Over time, the Gorgons evolved and were established as the protectors of oracles. Their appearance changed to include scales, sharp claws, wings, and locks of hair entwined with snakes. They became a mix of the Erinyes and Harpies. In the 8th century BC, with Homer's Iliad, the Gorgon was mentioned again as a terrifying monster associated with the shield called the Aegis, commonly associated with Zeus and Athena. It was customary in many cultures to use such imagery to ward off evil. Prior to the Iliad, most information about the Gorgons came from pottery and sculptures. From the 8th century BC onwards, the Gorgons started to develop as characters and gained more prominence in stories. In Homer's Odyssey, the Gorgon is once again portrayed as an awful monster, and it seems that Homer believed there was only one Gorgon. In Hesiod's Theogony, written in the 7th century BC, it is mentioned that there are 3 Gorgons, the daughters of the primordial sea deities, Phorcys and Ceto. Among the 3 sisters, Medusa is the only one described as mortal, but it's unclear if her mortality meant she looked different from her sisters or if it referred to her aging. Sculptures and vases from that time suggest that all 3 Gorgons had monstrous forms. In the 5th century BC, the poet Pindar referred to Medusa as fair-cheeked Medusa, indicating a departure from the monstrous portrayal. As more poets mentioned Medusa and the Gorgons, they were established as beings with serpents for hair and a gaze that could turn people to stone. The most dramatized version of Medusa's story involves Poseidon, Athena, and Medusa herself. According to Hesiod, Poseidon attempted to seduce Medusa, and when she rejected him, he pursued her into one of Athena's temples, where he took advantage of her. This act enraged Athena, who felt that her sacred space had been defiled. As a punishment, Athena transformed Medusa into a monstrous creature with snake hair. Anyone who looked at Medusa from that day forward would be turned to stone. Medusa was then banished into exile. In the subsequent story of Perseus, he needed to obtain Medusa's head to defeat the sea monster Cetus. With the help of the gods, Perseus decapitated Medusa. From her neck sprang 2 offspring, the winged horse Pegasus and the golden giant Chrysaor. Athena's curse prevented Medusa from experiencing motherhood fully, and the father of her children was Poseidon. It's important to note that Ovid's version of the story, as recounted in his Metamorphoses, is more sensationalized and portrays Medusa as a completely human maiden who was seduced by Poseidon and violated by him in Athena's temple. This version also depicts Athena as jealous of Medusa's beauty and acting irrationally. Ovid's portrayal of the gods tends to be negative, and his Roman background influences his perspective on the Greek gods. Prior to Ovid's version, Athena was typically depicted as a level-headed and respected deity in Greek mythology. However, in response to Ovid's story, the Greeks adapted the ending and transformed Medusa into a gorgon as a means of self-protection. This alteration allowed Medusa to remain invulnerable to harm from men. Some Greek sources suggest that Athena punished Medusa because she compared her own beauty to that of the gods, a display of hubris. The transformation served as a lesson to Medusa, illustrating the consequences of disrespecting others, especially the gods, based on one's beauty. It's worth mentioning that the original Medusa video gained popularity around the same time high-profile cases of sexual assault received significant media attention. Whether people genuinely believed Medusa's story as more than a fictional tale or if it resonated with those who had experienced similar traumas is unclear. Regardless, it is essential to acknowledge that Medusa's story encompasses more than her victimhood. While Ovid's version may resonate with some, it is crucial to explore the various interpretations and understand the complexity of Medusa's character beyond being an unfairly treated victim.